Welcome back to my 1857 Philadelphia row home. Exciting news this week, we're going to talk about light fixtures. In the background for the past several months, I've been doing a lot of research, I've been selecting a lot of fixtures, and I'm excited to have those fixtures here today to show you. I'm going to walk you through the whole house, starting here at the entrance in the living room, and I'm going to explain a little bit about my light placement and the fixtures that I selected. Starting off with these three lights at the entryway. The fixtures for these, I went with a gimbal light. Originally I had a 4-inch, and later I decided to shrink it down to a 3-inch fixture and 3-inch throughout this whole ceiling. And the reason for the gimbal is that I want these lights to be pointed at this wall, which will create a nice general illumination rather than having these spotlights shining down at you and having the glare. The lights are just pointed at the wall, brighten this up, and that light reflects. Now with all of these fixtures, the color temperature is pretty important. And the nice thing about LEDs nowadays is they're, for one, really energy efficient, they're affordable, and also almost all the fixtures I got have a variable color temperature, so you can switch between 2700 all the way to 5000. For the house, I'll be between either 2700 or 3000, but that flexibility allows you to make sure all your color temperature matches. For the rest of the living room, behind me, you can see 5 different lights. There's 2 right there, there's 2 right there, 1 right there. Let's start with this far light over here. This is on the same circuit as the entryway lights, which are those gimbal lights, wall washing. This light is very much the same. It'll be shining down on the brick, potentially a piece of artwork here, and it'll be a gimbal, so I can just point it over the brick. Pretty simple. The other 4 lights in this space are going to do the same. Originally I had 6-inch can lights, and those were just, I thought they were a little too bulky. They would just take up so much of the ceiling space. So I audibled and I got a 3-inch can light, so it'll match there with the entry gimbal lights as far as the trim size. There's one downside when I went from the 6-inch can to the 3-inch, and that is the light cone, the light angle. Basically for general illumination, which is just making the room bright, you want a wide cone, not a spotlight shooting down. So I sacrificed a little bit of that. The 6-inch was a much wider light, whereas the 3-inch fixture is going to be a little bit more direct. But for the aesthetics of looking at the light in the ceiling, I wanted to keep it small. I don't even use the main lights in a space that often, but one of the things I'm excited about with these 3-inch lights is they have a night mode. So it's like a glow, a very warm color temperature, and you turn it on by turning the light on, off, and on again. And that's a feature I would actually use a ton, because I hate the strong overhead light. I'm gonna have a lot of lamps in here anyway. And a final note about these 3-inch can lights as well as the 3-inch gimbal lights. Another reason why I had to buy new fixtures rather than going with the 6-inch and the 4-inch is because I realized I needed insulation rated. This whole ceiling is soundproofed with rock wool insulation. And technically, if your fixture is touching insulation, it should be insulation rated. And another constraint here is the height. It's framed with 2x3s, so I only have a 2.5-inch height to fit these fixtures, so that was one of my considerations. Next up, we have this kind of hallway space, compression space that is leading into the kitchen and dining room. Quick note, you can see this PVC pipe coming down. That is for the toilet on the 2nd floor, and there was no way to hide that without cutting through structural joists. So that just is what it is, but it will be hidden. There's a big pantry going in right here and a refrigerator going in right here. So there will be cover panels up there. Not a big deal. But we're not here to talk about PVC, we're talking lights. First, there's 2 3-inch recessed down lights, the same as the living room, then a pendant over the dining room table. Next, there's some tiny 2-inch lights that are centered over each cabinet. And for the most effective task lighting for the kitchen, there's also going to be an LED strip light under the upper cabinets. We have a bunch of 2-inch fixtures. These are little tiny pot lights. You can see just one wire coming through here, but I told the drywallers to not cut these ones. There are 4 total, so 3 more that are buried in the drywall. And I didn't want to cut those yet because I want to get my upper cabinets installed first so that I can make sure the hole is directly centered on the cabinets. I think these could have been gimbal lights as well to angle into the cabinets, but generally they're task lighting for the counter. So it's directly over the countertop facing down. I guess that's why I wouldn't want it gimbal. But also when you open the cabinets, that light will be shining into the cabinets. So it's kind of a functional light, and I think it might look cool. I'm actually not sure how I'll like it, but that light will kind of scallop onto the front of the kitchen upper cabinets, which again is why it needs to be perfectly centered. While we're here, we can also talk about the LED lights. All three of these bays, I have a light wired in that goes to where my fume hood, my range hood is gonna be. There's gonna be a cabinet there that'll hide some electrical, and these runs are for a future light thing. I haven't designed it yet. I will probably design it once I move in. And then I wanna do some type of perforated screen with LED strip lights behind that screen, so you get just like a glow and a cool ornate pattern, probably inspired by Art Deco design. And other LEDs, I also have 3 runs here, and over there of under cabinet lights. These will also be LED strip lights, and these are all home runs going right here. And there's also a 120 volt wire here, and that'll split and have a transformer down to 24 volts. And it'll power all this. This will be a pendant light. I got an awesome stained glass Tiffany style fixture on Facebook Marketplace for like 50 bucks. Really excited about it. That'll just be a centered pendant. And I want to design this ornate screen thing with this pendant light in mind. So kind of give it a, I believe it's called a medallion in plasterwork. Something in the panel design that is responsive to that light, if that makes sense. For the 2 bedrooms on the 2nd floor, it's my roommate's spaces, so I didn't care as much about them. Don't tell my roommate. He watches the videos. Sorry, Jess. I talked to him about it too. It's whatever. We don't even like to use the big lights. I got a 12-inch surface-mounted LED light. It's fine. It'll give light. He's gonna use lamps most of the time anyway. But I think it was like 23 bucks for 2 of them. So budget prevails sometimes. 2nd floor bathroom. We have a wire here to have a centered LED light above the window. That'll be another 2-inch fixture. Just a little tiny light up there for the shower. And up here, we have a over mirror type of light. I actually don't really have a fixture for that. I'm working through some design things. I don't know what will come of that, but we will figure it out. Here in the 2nd floor hallway, this floor is going to be a really important light, but also a light that I might not have installed for move-in. Every single one of these bays, similar to down in the kitchen, I have a 24 volt wire for LED strip lights. This light is a 3-way or 4-way switch. There's a switch on the 1st floor, 2nd floor, and 3rd floor, because once this is a glass floor, it'll illuminate up on the 3rd floor, it'll glow down here. It's not gonna be super bright light, but it's mainly for at night when you're trying to traverse the stairs. And I think it'll be plenty bright, just a really cool ambiance. And similar to the kitchen, I'm also considering doing like ornate screens, frosted glass. Like, I just want it to be really, really cool. And we'll get there eventually. The last bay has the 120 volt wire, so that's where the transformer will be, and all these runs go back to that first bay. One more light in this hallway is here. This is kind of for the laundry, and this might also be one of the gimbal lights, so I can point it at the laundry so you can see what you're doing. Welcome to the 3rd floor. Mentioned it before, but the 2nd floor will be for my roommate Jess, his bedroom and office, and the 3rd floor up here is my domain. So I spent a little bit more money on the lights and put a lot more thought into it. So first up, this is my studio space. There's some interesting considerations here with the lighting design. Because of my roof assembly, I wanted to minimize penetrations in the ceiling. This, I just think, helps with longevity. Any penetration can be a place where air escapes and creates condensation and causes mold and issues. So there's only 3 penetrations. There's a smoke detector up there, there's a fan, and there is an outlet. The rest of the lights up here, I'm actually really excited about this. They are going to be track lights mounted to these beams. There's 2 wires coming down, one right here, one right here. I considered at one point like trying to bore out holes for tiny little LEDs in the beams, and that just didn't seem necessary. But with the track lights, they'll be mounted to the back side of the beam, and I have 8 lights that can go onto that track. And that just gives me plenty of flexibility in how I arrange these lights, which is really great when you're making things in a studio space. And it makes these beams really functional as well, not only defining space, celebrating the character of the house, but also kind of like a drop ceiling, they become this control surface where you can add lights, I could hang plants, I could store stuff on top. I really love the look of them, and I also love the flexibility. We're talking so much about light fixtures, and it's kind of interesting to remember that if the power goes out, these fixtures could all be useless. But that's where the sponsor of this video, Bluetti, can help. This is their new B500K extension battery with 5,120 watt-hours of capacity. It's compatible with all current and future Bluetti products, including my Apex 300. This setup could power all of the LED lights in my house for around 48 hours of continuous on time. The modularity of this system Bluetti developed is really pretty impressive. You could expand this system up to 100 kilowatt hours, basically over 10 times what I have here, just by stringing different units together. And with that, you can cover pretty much any power need that you might have. The Bluetti B500K has exceptional value when you consider its capacity. It's the best cost per watt hour that you can find in any battery of its class. Depending on the use of a system like this, it can be important to keep it mobile, and Bluetti has a trolley that makes this incredibly easy, and it also creates just a mounting point for accessories like the Hub D1. With winter here now, it gives me some peace of mind that I can still run a space heater if we lose power. On top of using this system as an emergency home backup to keep things like my router and refrigerator and lights on in the case of a power outage, I also plan on using this unit in my studio, basically as an intermediate step between the outlet and my desktop computer. This way, if there's ever a brownout or inconsistent voltage, my computer will stay powered, and even if we have a total power outage, my computer will still stay online. And first of all, that means no more crashes and losing things because I didn't save my files, but it also means that I won't even need to stop working because I'll still have power. Thanks again to Bluetti for sponsoring this week's episode. Use my link in the description to learn more about these products and maybe pick one up for yourself if you want to have power anywhere. Moving on to this light well area, I'm super excited for this fan here because I have the operable skylights for great passive ventilation. I have this giant light well that helps air move up and out of the house, and the fan just adds another layer to make that even more effective. And what's really cool about it is it might extend the season where I don't need air conditioning. In the spring, for example, when it starts getting hot, I might get a couple more weeks out of not running my air conditioner because I can get this great passive ventilation, get hot air up and out of the skylights, and draw in fresh air from the base of the house and through the windows on the second floor. And I also got a fan that has a light on it, so that's also handy, you know, with this big area to have a central light up there. Now the other penetration was an outlet, and that is kind of tucked away over by the column. The idea there is, one, I might want to get a winch system so I could mount that to the side of the roof structure and, like, you know, have a cable motorized winch pulling stuff up, or even like standing on it and hoisting myself up. I think that'll be so fun. But also I wanted that up there because I might be doing something with LED strip lights. I want to do something to feature the brick wall. Continuing through the third floor here, again, just imagine how cool it would be if this was frosted glass and there's LED light just like glowing up from it. It'll be the best night light ever. I don't know, I think it's so cool. Let's check out the third floor bathroom. So to start, we're gonna have, same as the second floor, just a 2-inch little light above the window, kind of a shower light. Then there's a wire here for a vanity light. I don't know, all the fixtures I was looking at, like those bathroom fixtures, they all just look like so bad. And I don't know, maybe I want to custom design it, custom 3D print it. I think that'd be really fun. But then the LED lights, we have one 24 volt LED strip light coming out here. And this will be an LED strip light that's mounted to the backside of a big old joist that'll become a shelf above the toilet and the vanity. And it's just facing back towards the wall, so it glows up and glows down. And the shelf will be, you know, an inch or two held off the wall to create that reveal. And then another LED strip light right here. Really excited about this detail where the drywall ceiling is cut short and there's a little recess there. I'm gonna have this subtly fluted tile that slips up past the ceiling and, you know, having that ambient glow of the LED light shining down. And the other thing that's exciting about the fluted tile, because we have the side light from the window, you're gonna see those shadow lines, and I think it'll be great. I'm so excited to see how it turns out, and so excited to use this bathroom every day for hopefully a decade. This week is very much like a logistics week. We need to deal with the doors, mark them up, how they swing, all the details about the doors, and then we're gonna drop them off at the trim place. They have like a workshop, they can build the jambs, deliver them here like pre-hung doors. We'll go through that in a minute. But right now, I'm finalizing the kitchen layout. I'm gonna do IKEA boxes and then custom plywood fronts with like a really nice finish grade plywood. That's the plan. I need to make sure I have this layout exact. I've measured this so many times, but now that there's drywall, I can get some exact measurements. This is a 3 foot, the edge 33. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Here's what I whipped up for the kitchen. We got a plan with measurements, elevation, just everything I'm gonna need. One thing I noticed, which is a little bit weird, the ceiling height on this side is 93.5. Over here it's 95. It's either because the floor's moving or the ceiling. So that'll be a challenge to try to kind of hide that. Right now, I'm trying to figure out with this window what these upper cabinets should be. Let me explain. All right, so here's the deal with the window. We have a 36-inch sink cabinet that's gonna be just directly lined up with the window, of course, and then a 30-inch cabinet next to that, and then the stove, so on and so forth. The question is, do I want the upper cabinet that's over this 30-inch? Do I wanna make that a 24-inch cabinet, which would give me 6 inches of space here so I could do a proper window casing on this window? And the same deal over here, 33 inches, 24-inch dishwasher, then a 9-inch little like pan storage. So I could get a 33-inch upper cabinet to just fill the space all the way up to the edge of the window, or I can hold it back and have the jamb. I'm kind of interested in unconventional jambs. I have some ideas. Like, for one, the perk of bringing the cabinet all the way out is you get more cabinet space. I love that. And then if you imagine the edge of the cabinet being aligned here, I could use the same finish grade plywood that I'm using for the cabinet fronts, and rather than having a casing, you just have that jamb sticking out a little bit. You'd see the cut end of the plywood, which if you're using plywood to make cabinet fronts, you kind of celebrate the edges, so I'm not too concerned with that. It takes skill, and I got to figure out how to cut it without tearing away the veneer and whatnot. But you can imagine it'd be pretty clean if this jamb comes out, the cabinet butts right up against that, and then down here, that plywood jamb's coming out, and the tile backsplash just terminates into that jamb, and then maybe do the same stone on the sill here as I have on the countertop. So that's what I'm leaning towards. I think I'm gonna 3D model that just to make sure it looks good. But these are all the little nuanced details, and if you don't think about them, you might end up having a bad time when your cabinets show up the wrong size or not working how you intended. really love the idea of these old doors, but like, oh my goodness, it is a nightmare compared to just getting pre-hung doors. Even with this option where they're gonna build the jambs for me, it's still, you know, none of the doors are the same size, none of them are the same height. I gotta figure out, I wanna be able to plane them down on the edges to make them narrower, just, you know, by a ½ inch or so. And then it just brings up all these questions of how does the lock set work? You know, the stiles aren't wide enough to do a standard lock set, and then you have to fiddle around with the old lock sets. And it's just, I don't know how it'll turn out. I really don't know. But I do know that I don't want just like crappy hollow core doors. I could always pay more and just get solid new doors like this. Yeah, old doors are really cool. So I'm gonna do my best to make it work. Then the extra step too of trying to sand these down and restain, and I don't know. This door was in the basement of my neighbor's house for, who knows, 50 years? Yeah, it's gonna take a lot of work to bring it back. So yeah, I'm just going through, I'm removing knobs and removing hinges just because they're gonna get in the way, potentially scratch them when they're in transit. Doors, 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 doors. Let's talk about doors. First door is the basement door on the first floor. We're gonna work our way up. So the 5-panel design, there was a closet right over there next to where I took out a chimney. And it was like a double door, and it was the same kind of 5-panel vertical stack design. And the rest of the doors in the house were replaced. I don't know where the original ones ever went. But then I found 2 5-panel doors that I took from my neighbor. They had them out in the trash. They were in their basement for like 50 years. So that makes me think that the house originally had this style of door, which is kind of fun to try to bring that back. Even with that door I got from my neighbor, I still didn't have enough. So luckily my dad found some salvage doors at like a salvage place. This is one of them. This is the biggest. It's 32 and a half maybe. And it's gonna be the basement door. On the second floor, we have these 2 doors side by side. And one of the trickiest things with these doors is none of them are the same size. And especially the height is really bothering me. This bathroom door is like 4 inches shorter than the bedroom door. And I think with the case being so close, it'll look really awkward to have a lower case molding. And the case, if you're not familiar, it's like the trim around the outside of the door, and the jamb is like what holds the door. So this bathroom door is probably in the nicest shape of all of them. They're all in various degrees of disorder, and I'm gonna have to put a lot of work into trying to refinish them. But generally this one's pretty good. This one is the one I found in the basement from my neighbor, and it's not great. Let me show you. Up here is probably the worst damage. You can see the wood has like started to rot away. Obviously the hinges are so corroded, I can't even get these off. So I think I need to, I don't know, maybe just try to Sawzall. I don't want to damage the wood by prying it out. So I got to figure that out. And here, because it's so gnarly, I'll probably have to plane off the edge of this door. This style, which is this vertical piece, might be slightly shorter than this one. And it just gets tough to match them. Like if I need to plane this, which is basically just taking a slice off, you can't really do it on this side because there's this lock set that's embedded in the door. And to shift that back is just really tricky. Moving on, this is another door that came from a salvage place. It was like 50 bucks for each of these doors, really not bad. And also the total cost to send these to the trim place and for them to build out the jambs and ship them back pre-hung is only like $600. It'll actually be cheaper to do these old doors, but even though it's maybe cheaper, it's a whole lot more work. So we got that door. There's a closet door, and that is, so here are the closet doors. It's like a double door, and I would love to one day take the paint off of these doors, but for now they'll stay as is. But again, this is the original 5-panel door that's likely original to the house. On to the third floor. These 2 doors are a bit different. These are original, well, not to the original house, but they came with the house. They were probably added in, I don't know, the 70s, 80s maybe, 90s, who knows. But they're really nice doors, you know, they're solid wood. I like the glass to get light from the back window into this main space. This bathroom door, I'm gonna put just like a film on front so it's more of a frosted door. And here too, it's annoying because this door is like 2 inches shorter than the other door. So once again, when we step back, you'll see the higher case and then this one being a little bit lower, and it's just, it would look silly. So for these doors, I'm gonna see if the trim guys can add maybe just a block to the bottom of this door, like 2 inches to make it taller. And then I would have to try to blend and match and, yeah, you know, whatever. Working with these old doors is definitely a pain, but I gotta say, the hardware is really pretty cool. These old mortise locks, I had to switch the latch direction because I'm switching the swing direction, and they're super accessible. You just take out one screw, flip around the latch. These mechanisms are, they date back to 1850 and they still work fine. Pretty incredible. What's not incredible is trying to get screws out of wood that have been painted over so many times you can't see them anymore. Pretty tedious, but with the right tools, I got the job done. I'm working my way through marking up every one of the doors. They all have different instructions, and this is why I've been like pulling out my hair trying to figure this stuff out. So on this one, we got the door numbered 3 of 7, right-hand swing, which basically you put your back on the hinge side, just here, and it's opening to my right, so the door will be on the right side, opening into the bathroom. And that's so critical to get right. It would be a disaster if it's wrong and all of them swing the wrong way. Really important. The next one, existing latch direction is correct. I modified this little latch. When the door closes, this latch needs to like force itself back. It's based on that angle there. So the reason I mentioned the latch is correct is it's like a safeguard. If I did get the swing direction wrong, they would be confused because the latch would be wrong. And the other reason I say that is so they know that I'm using those old latches. So the next one, add a strike plate on the jamb. That's where the latch goes into the jamb. And ignore lock. This lock set has like a key and a little lock that comes out, but I'm just not gonna use that as a function, so they don't need to add like a place for that lock to go into the jamb. Plane as needed for new hinges. Some of the doors we need to plane more aggressively. So this door, the hinge is on the correct side, but even so, they might wanna just move the location of the hinge. I don't know, so if they wanted to, they could plane off this like 1/16, 1/8 of an inch and then do new recesses for the hinges, or they can just use the existing if it works, but I just say plane as needed. Next, for clarity, I have the final slab size. So here it's the same exact as this door is. For other ones where we need to plane down to make them fit into the openings, it's nice to have that final size as a check. And then I also have my rough opening. I'm thinking about adding another note that I'm gonna modify the rough opening, because when they look at this, they'll say, well, that's not the correct rough opening for that door slab size, but I'm just gonna deal with that later. I'm gonna add one more note with my contact information, just in case the doors get misplaced, and then they're good to go. I'm gonna try to drop them off later today, and it's just really important that I can clearly communicate everything that needs to be done. And I've been really careful with my language to try to make sure there's no confusion. So yeah, we're gonna drop them off and hope for the best. In the spirit of this logistics week I'm having, I also scheduled a meeting at IKEA to finalize my kitchen layout, the products I need, etc. Leaving IKEA, paid for my cabinets, did not expect to get them so soon, but I can actually pick them up today, and I happen to have this truck, so I'm gonna spend the night unloading a dishwasher and cabinets, and I'm gonna enjoy it. Pretty exciting. Welcome to Friday at the house. Terribly exciting day today. We have the electricians here. They're installing light switches and lights. It's like crazy. Unfortunately, somehow I forgot to take more footage of my new outlets and switches. I just took a bunch of videos on my phone. So here they are. We got a fan. Nice. We got switches. Got this little sconce in my bedroom. And I got this video at like blue hour with the blue light shining above and the light from the second floor illuminating up the brick. I think it looks so cool. Got me so excited. And one more thing before I leave you. Holidays are coming. Just want to remind you, I made this book. It's called High Rises Art Deco. It's a massive book, features 100 of like the coolest buildings around. And if you like this channel, you probably like architecture, and I love architecture, and these buildings are just hugely inspiring to me. So if you want to put something on your gift list, this is a good thing. Or if you know someone who loves architecture, consider picking up a copy of the book. You won't regret it. It was a labor of love, and I would much appreciate the support. With that, see you next week.